In the year of 2035, a sprawling metropolis of glass and neon pulses with the rhythm of artificial intelligence. Just like the smartphones of a bygone era, AI has woven itself into the fabric of every life. Efficiency soars as labor costs plummet, yet the arrival of the brain AI brings a cold reality: massive job losses. In the streets, desperate crowds hoist signs demanding their livelihoods back. Their resistance fails against the relentless tide of progress. Left with nothing, the forgotten masses gamble their lives in games crafted by the brain AI, providing grim entertainment for an elite upper class. This digital arena bears a simple name: Gold Game. Standing among the desperate, Chen Mo, a former researcher for the brain AI, finds himself forced into the fray. Survival is the only path to finding the woman he lost. Around him, the air thickens with fear. A trembling player asks if death in the game truly means death in reality. A man named Wang Qiang scoffs at the ignorance, confirming the headsets deliver a lethal surge to those who lose or attempt to escape. Wealth is never easily earned, and the only exit for the cowardly is to quit before the nightmare begins. Desperation drives the participants. One man cries out about gambling debts and the lack of an escape, while another, Zhao Yaokai, sneers with a bloodthirsty grin. He cares nothing for the law, eager to see how long the others can last before he ends them. Chen Mo recognizes the lunacy that thrives in such a place. Suddenly, a digital voice welcomes them to Gold Game, beckoning them into the instance. They emerge into a vast, empty hall illuminated by cold blue light. The silence breaks with a sharp mechanical chime as a figure materializes before them. A woman in a rabbit-themed helm, calling herself Little Rabbit, greets the players as their referee. With a playful yet chilling demeanor, she outlines the path to victory. This beginner stage demands a grim toll. The survival count must drop to 3 people or fewer. She adds a final, crushing detail: the boss of this realm is absolutely unbeatable. Her tone remains light as she asks if the rules are simple enough, her image flickering with digital static before she vanishes. Little Rabbit bids them an enjoyable game. Her laughter resounds as she fades into the shadows. Confusion ripples through the group. One man demands to know who could possibly follow such nonsense. Chen Mo calculates the math. Out of the 10 souls present, 7 must perish for anyone to clear the stage. The impossibility of the task weighs heavy until a sharp hiss cut through the air. From the digital floor, a massive, pixelated serpent rises, its scales shimmering with green energy. Panic erupts. The serpent strikes with terrifying speed, forcing the players to scatter. A scream is cut short as the beast claims its first victim. Someone shouts for the group to spread out, realizing that clustering together only invites slaughter. Chen Mo watches the carnage, his mind racing. He questions the nature of the stage, wondering if they truly must wait for the monster to devour 7 of their number before the exit opens. The serpent grows longer with every life it consumes. Chen Mo notices its rigid movement. It only turns at sharp 90-degree angles. He recognizes the pattern from the classic game Snake. If his theory holds, the beast is bound by those same geometric laws. By maintaining a 45-degree angle near the head, he can exploit its inability to turn directly toward him. It is a desperate gamble that buys only a few seconds of borrowed time, but in this hall of death, seconds are everything. The pressure breaks the resolve of the others. A man screams at the unfairness of an unbeatable foe, refusing to die in such a hollow place. The serpent looms, its maw agape and dripping with digital bile. Wang Qiang finds himself cornered, the beast appearing before him as if from nowhere. Chen Mo realizes the predator has shifted its focus. The hunter is now the hunted, and the clock is ticking toward an inevitable end. Driven by cowardice, Wang Qiang lunges at Chen Mo, declaring that the researcher will die in his place. As they struggle, Chen Mo's mind remains analytical. He knows the brain AI does not create missions of pure slaughter. The secret lies in the second rule: while the snake is unbeatable, it was never called immortal. In the logic of the original game, the serpent dies if its head strikes its own body. If Chen Mo can maneuver within that 90-degree arc, he might force the beast into a fatal error. He refuses to wait for death. Wang Qiang's grip is iron as he shoves Chen Mo toward the closing jaws, offering a hollow prayer for his soul. As the serpent's teeth approach, Chen Mo's vision blurs. A memory surfaces: a warm kitchen, a new dish, and the smiling face of his sister Jin Kankan. She urges him to eat, her hands wrapped in bandages from her efforts. He remembers her laughter, her insistence that she is no longer a child, and the way her happiness made every struggle worth the cost. The memory turns bitter. Jin Kankan had promised to cook for him every day, but that meal was her last. A sudden accident broke all the beauty into pieces, leaving Chen Mo jobless and drowning in debt. He recalls his descent into madness, becoming a shell of a man, yet his sister never abandoned him. She stepped forward, promising to handle the money, no longer the child who hid behind his back. It was for his sake that she entered this cursed game, and she never returned. The weight of his failure fuels a sudden surge of defiance. Chen Mo cannot die here, he must find her. The serpent strikes, its massive form crashing into him and sending him reeling. Blood sprays across the digital floor as he coughs, his body broken but his spirit screaming. He refuses to accept an end in this digital tomb. As he falls, the world slows, the red mist of his own pain clouding his vision. Impact breaks the floor beneath him. Chenmo lies in a pool of his own blood, his breath shallow and ragged. He whispers his refusal to accept this fate, his eyes losing focus. Suddenly, a sharp chime rings out. A holographic window flickers into existence, scanning his vitals. It identifies him as employee 000006, researcher Chen Mo. A hidden protocol engages, and the administrator system successfully activates. Chen Mu wonders how he still draws breath and where this digital realm exists. The system binds to him, granting level 1 administrator privileges, code edit. He can now freely edit his own attribute points. Staring at the interface, he questions what this system truly is. Pain flares as he realizes the potential of this attribute panel. It mirrors a game. If he can manipulate these values, hope remains to turn his certain defeat into a sudden victory. His fingers hover over the glowing interface. Focusing on agility seems logical, but he hesitates. Increasing speed to run away offers no lasting solution. He needs strength. He needs resources to become a guild apprentice and earn money. A chime signals the attribute edit is successful. The system detects a data deficiency and begins restoration. An unknown entity appears within the code. Chenmu ignores the standard game rules, declaring himself the new authority. As his strength surges and data restores, a colossal pixelated serpent looms over the digital horizon, its body crackling with emerald energy. The serpent lunges. A sharp hiss pierces the air as the beast strikes with mechanical precision. Metal grinds against code. The massive head snaps forward, jaws wide. Chenmu braces himself as the creature's scales rattle with a rhythmic swaying motion. Teeth sink into flesh, but Chenmu does not flinch. He sneers at the beast, asking if it enjoys the taste of its prey. His eyes glow with a fierce blue light. He challenges the monster, daring to see who will truly consume the other this day. With a guttural roar, he bites back, his own teeth tearing into the digital hide of the serpent. Spectators watch in frozen terror, wondering if this man is even human. Chenmu stands firm, his aura radiating power. He notes the attack left a mark, proving the beast is not immune to physical force. However, his current power isn't enough for a killing blow. He calculates his options. Even stacking all points into strength would only allow him to hold out for a moment. He reverts to his original plan, maxing out agility. He intends to exploit the fundamental rules of the snake game. He will force the head of the beast to strike its own body. He moves like a blur of static. In the original design, a snake dies if it touches its own form. Chenmu identifies this as the singular weakness. He taunts the creature, inviting it to bite itself. The serpent's jaws snap shut, but a strange pulse of energy ripples through the air. Something is wrong. A protection mechanism triggers. The tail slides away from the head like a repelling magnet. Chenmu realizes the brain AI has already patched the flaw. This confirms the boss authority is designed to be invincible through normal means. He sees the trap laid by the administrators. By ordering that only 3 survivors can clear the game, they force players into a murderous abyss of betrayal. But Chenmu refuses to fall. If he can bypass the protection mechanism, he can win. He just needs a distraction. His eyes lock onto a group hiding in the shadows. He has found his manpower. Nearby, a burly man and his subordinates crouch behind a digital wall. The thug boss orders his men to watch the perimeter, planning to hide until only 3 remain. They hope the skilled kid will kill the beast for them, allowing them to win by doing nothing. Chenmu steps out of the gloom behind them. He asks if they truly believe he doesn't exist. Before the leader can react, Chenmu's hand clamps around his throat. He warns the man not to move or his hand might slip, causing an early exit from life. The thug boss stammers, pleading for a peaceful resolution and suggesting they unite. Chenmu coldly retorts that he could simply kill the boss and unite with the survivors instead. He reveals his plan. He needs bait. He gives them a final choice: take a gamble on his plan or die where they stand. Time is running out. Terrified, the thug boss agrees to the terms. Internally, he reasons that a wise man does not fight when the odds are against him, planning revenge once they clear the stage. He barks orders at his men, telling them to move. When his subordinates hesitate, questioning the risk, he threatens to kill them himself. He turns his sight toward a group of weaker players, including 2 women. He commands them to lure the beast, claiming he has figured out how to deal with it. They protest, but the threat of immediate death forces their hand. The serpent hisses, lunging at the new targets. One man falls as the beast strikes. The thug boss screams at the others to start running. As the woman in the blue top tries to flee, he grabs her arm, forcing her to stay behind. She trembles, asking what else he wants after she followed his orders. The thug boss pulls her close with a sinister grin. He offers her a way out, telling her to follow him. He reasons that once the others are dead, the 3 of them can clear the game. He views the others as waste destined for the afterlife. His subordinate watches, questioning the plan. The boss dismisses the woman's life, noting she won't last long anyway. To him, her death is perfect. It reduces the survival count toward the required 3. The serpent coils through the digital arena, its massive body forming a labyrinth of scales. Thug boss watches with a predatory look. He still harbors a grudge against the kid who embarrassed him. He decides the boy must die. The snake's head turns toward the group. The thug boss sees perfect timing. He tells his remaining crew to pretend to cooperate with Shenmue first, then strike when the opportunity arises. They run toward Shenmue, shouting that they have brought the beast to him. Shenmue watches them approach, recognizing the evil in the man leading them. He decides that if the chance arises, he must eliminate this unstable factor to prevent future problems. Shenmue stands his ground as the serpent looms. He reminds the group of the rules of the snake game. If the head hits the body, the game ends. The others feel a flicker of hope, asking if they are saved. The thug boss scoffs internally, knowing the protection mechanism makes that impossible. He prepares his betrayal. Suddenly, Shenmue moves. A massive shockwave of blue energy erupts as he strikes. The thug boss's eyes widen in shock, his vision filled with the reflection of the serpent's maw. A massive, pixelated serpent lunges from the digital void, its maw a cavernous red glow of shifting data. The man in the black hoodie reels back, shouting how such a nightmare is even possible. A heavy impact shakes the digital floor as a scream of pure agony rips through the air. Bone-chilling cracks and sharp hisses fill the arena, signaling the arrival of something far worse than a simple glitch. Light erupts from the serpent's scales, flickering like a dying monitor. The beast thrashes against the invisible boundaries of the game world, its form fracturing into jagged blocks of light and shadow. The environment itself seems to groan under the weight of the creature's presence, forcing the survivors to stand their ground or be erased. The rabbit-eared guide claps her hands, her voice cutting through the chaos to announce that the MVP receives an extra lottery draw opportunity. She explains that specific settlement matters will wait until the game ends, her tone casual despite the surrounding carnage. While she directs players to check their attribute panels for further details, a subordinate cries out to his boss about his mangled hand. The man in the black t-shirt realizes he has leveled up, a surge of power convincing him he is no longer powerless. He summons his attribute panel instantly, marveling at the amazing speed of the interface. He ponders how to allocate his 3 extra points, certain that heaven has not abandoned him yet. Leveling up refreshes his body to its initial state, wiping away the fatigue of battle. The guide then introduces a majority rule for the survivors. If the player count drops to 3 or below, a hidden mission will be forcibly activated. She warns that once started, it cannot be cancelled, but clearing it grants a random skill and unique, generous rewards. A 1-minute countdown begins, the blue numbers glowing with an ominous light. The prospect of obtaining skills sends a shock through the survivors, as they know those with skills exist in a completely different league. With 4 survivors left, the conditions for the hidden mission remain unmet. The man in the hoodie realizes the hidden mission and the trap rule are one and the same. He understands the system's true purpose is to lure players toward death to generate traffic for an unseen audience. Dying in the game means being turned to ash by a super strong electric current in reality. He decides the safest choice is to defy the higher-ups. He refuses the mission, declaring he does not want to stay in this man-eating place for another second. The blonde woman and the other man agree, citing they have enough money to spend for a while and should leave the danger behind. The guide sighs as they refuse, though she continues to tempt them with the promise of massive reputation and wealth outside the game. Since 3 of the 4 refuse, the guide prepares to declare the game over. The boss narrows his eyes, his mind racing as he refuses to let the opportunity end. He wonders how anyone could act so arrogant if he only had a skill to strike them down. Suddenly, a sharp slap echoes. The boss grips his underling, Ah Qiang, by the throat in a sudden betrayal. He tells the man to rest in peace, promising to care for his family before a sickening crack sounds. Ah Qiang's body goes limp, his life extinguished in an instant. The blonde woman gasps in horror as the player count drops. With only 3 survivors remaining, the system announces the activation of the hidden mission, 10,000 Snakes Den. The man in the hoodie realizes the boss killed his own man just to force the game to continue. The earth groans and shatters as the activation zone transforms. From the darkness, a swarm of serpents emerges, their hisses overlapping into a deafening wall of sound. The system issues a final reminder to arrive at the meeting zone where 3 routes converge. Survival for 10 minutes after the mission ends is the only way to receive an extra waiver. The clock begins its relentless tick from 9 minutes and 58 seconds. The rabbit-eared guide smiles down at them, mocking the players for their total lack of unity. The guide watches with twisted amusement, noting how greed constantly leads humans to send themselves to their doom. She observes them squeezing their own survival space until they completely bury themselves. The boss, Zhao, focuses on the 10-minute mark, believing he will never fear anyone again once he claims the rewards. The man in the hoodie knows he cannot keep stalling. Surrounded by 2 giant snakes, he realizes even 100 lives would not be enough to survive if they are cornered. He notices the smaller snakes devouring each other in a frenzy. He deduces that the protection mechanism only targets the snake itself. If 2 collide, the devour rule takes dominance. He decides the only way to clear the game is to make the 2 bosses eat each other. His strength attribute rises to 13, the blue interface flickering before his eyes. This is his last chance. Points flow into agility and strength as the boss prepares his next move. Zhao plans to use the blonde woman as a scapegoat to buy himself time, but she strikes first. She screams at the scum to go to hell, her foot connecting with his chest. He is stunned by her betrayal, shouting that he schemed and killed his own subordinate just to activate this mission. She retorts that a man who kills his own people would surely kill her too. As the snakes swarm over him, Zhao begs for his life, offering all his money if she saves him. She ignores his desperate pleas, telling him to die as she kicks him further into the pit. He screams in shame and fury as the vipers close in to claim him. Zhao curses the woman, never expecting his calculations to end at her hands. He disappears beneath a carpet of writhing green scales, his screams cut short. The blonde woman cries out in terror as the swarm engulfs her next, the snake's hisses filling the air. The man in the hoodie sprints across the digital terrain, seeking the only safe place left amidst the swarm. He leaps with everything he has as a giant serpent lunges. A deafening clang rings out as the beast's jaws snap shut on the structure he occupies. The bite force is staggering, threatening to crush the very metal beneath his feet, straining against the massive fangs. The man in the hoodie relies on his newly assigned attribute points to keep the jaws from snapping shut. He knows success or failure hinges entirely on this moment. He shouts that it is now or never, his voice strained by the effort. Every muscle tenses as he fights the urge to collapse under the pressure. Whether he lives or dies depends on this single desperate move as the world around him dissolves into glitching light and shadow. Static crackles as the digital world fractures. The warrior lunges through a storm of emerald pixels, his blade carving through the air. Beneath him, a gargantuan serpent of shifting code roars in agony, its massive form disintegrating into glowing shards. Blue lightning arcs across the glitching landscape, heralding the end of the beast. Victory brings a new revelation from the void. A notification announces the acquisition of code copy, a privilege allowing the replication of game data within a 10-minute window. Though limited to 1 second-level monster per day, the potential is staggering. The warrior wonders if this means the codes of every fallen NPC are now within his reach. Without hesitation, he commands the system to copy the essence of the gluttonous snake. A surge of power confirms his ownership of the snake code, a reward now ready to be summoned at his whim. This advantage secures his future path. Suddenly, a figure draped in pink and white heels approaches. The stranger offers congratulations, claiming to represent the supreme god. She requests his information for the central database, promising vast rewards for future excellence. She waits for his consent, her gaze lingering on the successful clearer. Suspicion clouds the warrior's mind. He realizes this database is a net designed to screen and monitor those capable of seizing the brain AI's authority. These system girls are merely avatars, each holding a fragment of power. By hunting them, he can claim that authority for himself. The stranger asks if he has gone offline, unaware of the predator standing before her. With a cold command, he orders the snake to devour her. The serpent strikes, its jaws snapping shut around the screaming avatar. As she vanishes into the dark, a final notification pings. He has obtained 0.1% authority of the unique god. The hunt concludes for now. The warrior initiates the log-off sequence, his digital form shattering into a cascade of binary. Reality returns with a violent gasp. In a dimly lit room, the man known as Chen Mo collapses onto his bed, lungs burning for air. He questions if his predecessor endured the same torment. A chime from his phone breaks the silence. The screen displays a staggering reward, 200,000 yuan for clearing the hidden mission of the snake's den. The weight of the past presses down. Chen Mo stares at the device, noting how easily money is earned within the game's lethal borders. He attempts a call, but the mechanical voice informs him the recipient is outside the service area. Frustration mounts. He remembers the cost of his defiance, opposing the use of brain AI led to his termination and a mountain of debt. It was this desperation that forced his companion to enter the game first, sacrificing herself to clean up his mess. Now she is gone, leaving only a trail of money and silence. A vow of protection takes root. No matter the distance, Chen Mo resolves to find her. Elsewhere, the neon glow of a sprawling city illuminates a different stage. In a crowded bar, a man named Tianquin watches the live stream of the recent match. He finds the kid's ruthless efficiency fascinating, noting how he identified the snake's weakness instantly. As the captain of the army breaker unit, Tianquin considers the value of such a recruit. Beside him, the vice captain Fei Ying remains unimpressed. She scoffs at the poor quality of the current generation, pointing out the near team wipe in a beginner field. To her, players of this level are unworthy of being teammates. Tianquin laughs, suggesting they might need to lower their standards to find anyone at all. Fei Ying remains firm. She prefers no teammates over mediocre ones. Suddenly, Chen Mo's phone vibrates again. A voice on the other end breaks the tension. The informant claims to have news regarding the person Chen Mo seeks. The price for information is steep. The informant demands 50,000 yuan for the details of her appearance on an MVP leaderboard 3 days ago. Chenmo transfers the funds without a second thought. The data points to Zone 39, a D-rank instance titled Spot the Difference. Though the specific game may have vanished upon completion, any trace is a lifeline. He dons his helmet once more, his resolve hardening. He will find her. The digital threshold crosses back into the game world. A new contract system greets him, demanding he become a contractor or face expulsion. Chenmo sneers at the one-sided terms, recognizing the trap of debt and fines. He ignores the bureaucracy, focusing instead on his rewards. He allocates 10 attribute points, prioritizing strength and stamina to ensure survival. His strength rises to 20, his agility to 14. While intelligence seems secondary, the increase in raw power is undeniable. Strength flows through his limbs, a tangible upgrade. He notices a skill bar and remembers his draw opportunity. With a command to the system, the wheel spins. A chime announces his prize, invisible wings. This basic skill grants temporary flight, a tool that could prove miraculous in the heat of battle. There is no time to linger. He sets his sights on the D-rank lobby. A stranger intercepts him, asking if he is a newly promoted beginner. The man offers a partnership for an E-rank instance, promising a safe path. Chenmo declines, stating his intent for D-rank. The stranger is horrified, shouting that such a move is suicide for a beginner. Ignoring the warnings of death, Chenmo confirms his entry into the lobby. The elevator rises to Zone 39. The stranger watches, convinced the warrior is insane. Inside the instance, the matching process completes. Chenmo stands among four others: Xia Xiu, Zhang Tianba, Bu Qiang, and Zhu Tian. A new avatar little ant descends from the shadows. She welcomes them to the game of thunder from heaven and fire from earth, urging them to listen to the rules of their survival. The stage is a vast minefield. 30 landmines lie hidden beneath the tiles. To clear the game, they must find them all or detonate them all. A player notes the similarity to Minesweeper, but little ant reveals the lethal twist. Every 5 minutes, at least one player must explore a tile. Failure to do so results in a team penalty. A random landmine detonates. To aid them, auxiliary items are buried within the squares, offering a slim hope of success. Little Ant bids them farewell, hoping they remain alive for her next appearance. She vanishes into a digital rift. The other players rationalize the challenge, believing logic will lead them to victory. They view it as a simple matter of time. Chenmo remains silent, his instincts screaming. A D-rank instance should not be this straightforward. He wonders if he has stepped into a trap far deeper than it appears. Tension thickens on the digital checkered floor as a man demands a moment of silence, questioning how a beginner who just passed the starting stage ended up here. He calls the situation a waste, a sentiment echoed by a veteran who notes that everyone else has cleared at least 2 instances. They fear the kid will drag the team down, labeling the newcomer a ticking time bomb and a threat no less dangerous than a landmine. Zhang Tianba, a level 16 warrior with 5 clears, commands the crowd to stop arguing. He offers a proposal, suggesting a lottery draw to decide the movement order. He insists that whoever is chosen must go up, warning that anyone who violates this rule harms the collective. He threatens to eliminate any pest who dares to disobey. He claims this method ensures the beginner won't be a burden while everyone else relies on their own abilities. Zhu Tian and Gu Qiang watch as Zhang Tianba finishes his speech, asking who stands for or against him. He invokes his reputation as the domineering brother of Z City, asserting his authority over the group. Zhang Tianba challenges any objectors to a one-on-one duel while ordering those without objections to raise their hands. To ensure trust, he suggests using the system's built-in lottery function so everyone accepts their fate without the possibility of cheating. A digital chime rings out as he claims the number 1 spot, laughing at his success. He declares he will take the lead and pave the way for the rest. Behind him, whispers of doubt rise as someone questions the coincidence of him drawing the first choice, wondering if the first position offers a safety guarantee. A companion urges silence to avoid trouble, noting they cannot fight Zhang Tianba's group. They hope the system lottery is truly unrigged as the man approaches the board, declaring that the game starts from his position. A sharp sound echoes as the first move is made. A flash of light signals the result, and Zhang Tianba admits with a smirk that his luck is not great. He demands to know whose turn is next, forcing the group forward. A woman trembles, asking if anyone is willing to switch orders with her. A man dismisses her, stating her situation is pure gambling and that no one will switch if her luck is bad. He tells her to hurry up and stop wasting time. She snaps back that she understands and tells him to stop rushing her. Nearby, the dark-haired youth watches as a blue screen appears, showing his system authority is a mere 0.1%. The system notes that 2 squares have been swapped, a mystery deeper than he anticipated. He realizes he will be stuck at this low authority level for a while. When he tries to access more information, the system denies him, citing insufficient authority. He concludes that he cannot even swap squares and wonders why a game would be so complex. Despite the failure of his strategy, he steps forward and offers to switch with the terrified woman. The woman asks if he is serious, warning him that he cannot go back on his word. He confirms the switch, stating he will take the second step. As he moves, she tells him to hurry as she leaves, wishing him luck. Others watch thinking the newbie is an idiot for trying to pick up women in such a place, advising themselves to stay far away from him. Zhang Tianba watches with a predatory grin, wondering if the kid has inside information. The youth looks at the board, noticing a Windows XP system watermark. He realizes this instance evolved from the classic version of Minesweeper. He recalls a memory of playing the game with a girl, where they agreed on a rule that the loser would cook at home. He remembers her complaining about being bullied because he always beat her. He told her then that the first step in Minesweeper is absolutely safe because of the system's protection rules. In the memory, he tells the girl he is caring enough for her, and she hugs him knowing he treats her best. He thinks to himself that he will find her no matter the price. He analyzes the current board, realizing that because of the first step protection rule, the mine Zhang Tianba should have hit was transferred to the upper left position. This explains why the system indicated a swap between coordinates. He concludes that the square at 2-2 is now definitely a mine. A system announcement blares, warning that only 1 minute remains to proceed or face elimination. Zhang Tianba mocks him, stating he lacks intelligence. He counts down the last 10 seconds, asking if the kid is chickening out after acting like a hero. The woman he saved tells everyone she doesn't know this idiot and that his failure has nothing to do with her. The youth simply lets out a small laugh as the timer hits 1. The youth's hand moves toward the board. A sudden shockwave of light erupts as he successfully clears a path. The crowd gasps in disbelief, wondering if the kid just got lucky like a blind cat catching a mouse. The woman who switched with him feels a sting of regret, realizing those rewards should have been hers. A man approaches the youth, praising his capability and noting he is actually quite talented. The youth realizes that as long as he follows traditional Minesweeper rules he can proceed, but he remains wary of hidden rules in this D-rank instance. He notes that Zhang Tianba likely obtained first-hand information to claim the first position and finds the man's acting laughable. Zhang Tianba slaps the youth on the back, praising his potential despite being a beginner. Internally, the man is fuming, certain the kid has insider tools. He covets the valuable items the youth just won, thinking they could save a life at a critical moment. He finds it a waste for a beginner to have them. He turns to the rest of the group, shouting for them to move faster. He warns that anyone who causes misfortune for the group will face his brand of justice. Zhang Tianba decides to let the kid gloat for now, planning to find an opportunity to kill him and take his items later. His subordinates assure him that with them watching, nothing will go wrong. He continues to bark orders at the others to move. A man steps up, claiming he will choose right away. A woman analyzes the board, marking a spot she believes is a mine so she can step safely next to it. A digital beep sounds as she moves. She cheers, finding herself safe and realizing her luck isn't bad. Others follow her lead, tapping the digital squares as the board begins to fill with numbers and flags. A sharp sound accompanies each successful move. A player remarks that they thought this stage would be difficult, but it seems to be pure Minesweeper that could be cleared with eyes closed. A man in a hat cautions that it is an old game and easy to make mistakes if one is unfamiliar with it. Yeyue, a game streamer with purple hair, approaches the youth. She tells him he should have figured out that Zhang Tianba used a skill to cheat the lottery. The youth asks what it matters, noting the man just exploited a loophole. Yeyue agrees but finds the man's fake attitude annoying. She introduces herself, hoping to establish a connection. Yeyue suggests they help each other out, but the youth reminds her this is a life-and-death survival game, not a virtual instance. He tells her she doesn't need to teach him. She explains she was just looking for a way to huddle for warmth. She mentions that in a past game, there was a girl overwhelmingly strong and reliable, though she forgot her name and only remembers her golden hair. The youth's eyes widen as he asks for details, wondering if it was his sister. He grabs Yeyue, demanding to know if the girl had long hair or a mole at the corner of her eye. She cries out that he is hurting her and says she didn't look that carefully. He realizes she isn't talking about his sister. Zhang Tianba interrupts, shouting that it is the youth's turn and telling him not to stand there stupidly. A woman in red bites her nail in terror, realizing all the safe squares have been picked. She doesn't know which step to take and fears the remaining squares are too difficult. A man mutters that if she fails, she should blame her own bad luck. A timer appears, counting down from 30 seconds. A system message instructs the next player to start, warning their mine will randomly detonate if they don't move. Zhang Tianba screams at the woman, asking if she is afraid to choose. He charges toward her, declaring he will help her choose by force. She begs for her life, crying out for anyone to help her. He snarls at her to shut up as he reaches out to shove her onto the board. The youth suddenly shouts for him to wait. The youth asks Zhang Tianba if he can help her choose instead, noting it doesn't violate the rules. He asks the woman if she trusts him and tells her to listen. He points out that the number at his feet is 3 and he has already marked 3 mines around him. He concludes the square in front of him is definitely safe. The woman thanks him profusely, promising not to forget his kindness. Yeyue watches, thinking that something this simple didn't need such a long explanation. She teases that there is always a busybody. The youth tells Zhang Tianba to go calm down, explaining the woman was just disoriented. The man grunts as the woman finally takes the step. A heavy thud echoes as her foot hits the square. A sudden, sharp sound fills the air. The woman's face pales as she asks what is happening. Rapid beeping begins to trigger. She screams at the youth, accusing him of lying about the mine. The youth's eyes narrow as he realizes the trap. He screams for everyone to get down. A massive explosion erupts, the sound of a blast tearing through the chamber. Smoke and debris fill the area as the woman is caught in the center of the fire. A thunderous roar erupts as a massive explosion tears through the checkered floor. Captions flicker with the activation of gravity manipulation and invisible wings. Amidst the chaos, a voice commands Zhu Tian to use a skill, prompting a shimmering shield to manifest. A pained grunt escapes as the dust settles. Footsteps tap against the tiles. The protagonist questions the origin of the mine, wondering if the woman from before was responsible before concluding that she was not. Certainty settles in his mind that the square should have been safe. Something unexpected is unfolding. A scarred man shouts in frustration, accusing the purple-haired girl of leading a woman to her death. He snarls that she is a murderer, responsible for the lives of 3 players. Another woman joins the outcry, noting that with the count reduced, her turn to choose approaches. She demands the girl take responsibility. The purple-haired girl snaps back, telling them to stop the fuss. She reminds them that they were silent when help was needed and agreed to the choices made. She accuses them of seeking a scapegoat. The protagonist observes that Xia Xiu made no errors. The problem is hidden beneath the minefield. He notes the number 3 and his marked mines. This spot should be safe. He realizes the numbers have changed. Fury erupts as the survivors brandish weapons, refusing to let a murderer act with such arrogance. They resolve to eliminate the girl before she kills them. She stands her ground, challenging anyone not afraid to die. Purple energy crackles as she declares her gravity manipulation skill. Anyone wishing to fall into the minefield is invited to step forward. The protagonist intervenes, calling for their attention. He reveals the existence of moving mines that traverse beneath the field. The crowd reacts with disbelief, questioning the logic of a minesweeper game where the hazards shift. The protagonist explains the shift from 3332 to 2333, noting a marking has vanished. The mine moved 1 square to the right, triggering the sudden explosion. The survivors begin to see the truth in his words, remembering the woman was fine when she first stepped there. He turns to the girl, asking if she used a scapegoat to verify her strategy. She is stunned, asking how he knows and why he is helping. He clarifies that he needs her strength to find the truth. She scoffs at his arrogance, claiming she doesn't need a newbie's help. Suddenly, a surge of green energy pulses between them. He demands respect, stating this is a notification, not a negotiation. The pressure he exerts is immense, making the girl wonder if he is a high-level veteran in disguise. She decides cooperation has no downside since he wants her intelligence. She identifies her skill as Heaven's Eye, limited to 3 uses. The other men argue, doubting the deduction and worrying about the ticking clock. They insist there is no time for imaginary theories. The protagonist remains calm, stating that verification is simple. Standing before the group, he points to a square everyone deemed safe. He reveals he possesses a detection skill for hidden mines. Though its uses are limited, he has observed a mine nearby. To prove his theory of the moving hazard, he offers a blunt solution: simply step on it. The girl asks if he is serious. He calculates the 0.5-second fuse, knowing he must escape within 0.2 seconds. A status ring glows as he focuses all points into agility, reaching the equivalent of a level 20 player. He consumes speed and life potions. The others scramble away, calling him a lunatic. His foot hits the trigger. A massive red blast consumes the area. The shockwave throws the others back, one crying out in pain as their skill fails to activate. Smoke clears to reveal the protagonist alive. The survivors are stunned by his impossible speed. He crouches, acknowledging how close he came to death. His health is too low for another attempt. Reaching into the air, he summons a glowing green syringe. He injects the life potion, watching the green crosses of recovery flicker around his form as his strength returns. The crater proves his words: moving mines are a reality. Panic grips the survivors as they realize they are blind to the patterns. A sinister, grinning face appears in the air as the system announces a 30-second countdown. Overtime will trigger random detonations. The group despairs, but the protagonist remains focused. He insists the mines must have patterns to be reasonable. Finding the cause of movement is the priority. He points out a new detail, prompting the others to look. He proposes a split: one group for the system task, the other to find the mine pattern. The cowards immediately choose the system task, terrified of the invisible mines. The protagonist asks the girl to join his investigation. She agrees, guaranteed to complete the mission. A man in a suit tries to join, claiming safety in numbers, but the protagonist refuses. He warns that too many people will be counterproductive, promising to share any extra gains later. The man in the suit smiles, secretly suspecting the protagonist found something valuable. He hands over a walkie-talkie, offering support from above. The protagonist accepts, recognizing the item's quality. Internally, the man sneers, planning to detonate the mines and bury them once the rewards are secured. As they move away, the girl warns that the man is untrustworthy. The protagonist admits he never expected a kept promise. He tells her to come closer as his skill range is limited. He tells her not to overthink it, his skill is single target and he must hold her to prevent a fatal fall. She agrees and they prepare to jump. They plummet into the dark abyss of the crater, sliding down the jagged rock walls. The girl questions if clues can be found in such a desolate place. He commands her to get closer as they move deeper into the shadows. Their footsteps echo in the silence of the underground. Before them lies a dark tunnel entrance. The protagonist identifies it as the path where the moving mines reside. He declares that only by entering this darkness will they uncover the movement pattern of the hidden threats. Descending into the jagged throat of the cavern, the dark-haired man admits he never expected to find such a passage. He reasons that the mines must use this hidden artery to move freely, though the exact method of their travel remains a mystery. He wonders aloud if these mines possess legs, a thought that draws a mocking laugh from his purple-haired companion. Her amusement dies instantly as a scraping sound erupts from a fissure in the rock. A dark shape with a single glowing red eye shifts within the shadows. Terrified, she demands to know if he saw the movement, urging him to protect her since her powers are restricted in this subterranean environment. The man already understands the truth of these moving mines from a previous inspection of an explosion site. His focus sharpens on a jagged crack where a digital interface flickers into existence. The system identifies copyable code for mine soldier ant, prompting him to choose whether to replicate the data. He realizes these mines are actually living creatures. Deciding to act, the man initiates the copy process. As a golden ant sigil burns into the back of his hand, he whispers that he is counting on the new power. Suddenly, the ground trembles. The woman screams as a massive mechanical ant crashes through the ceiling, sending stone shards flying. More of the metallic insects swarm the chamber, their green eyes glowing with predatory intent. The man notes that they clearly view them as intruders. He warns that if this is truly an ant colony, the panic will only grow. The woman realizes with horror that the mines are moving bombs, cursing the NPC who led them here, refusing to wait for a gruesome end. The purple-haired woman prepares to strike, calling out for the power of gravity manipulation. The man quickly grabs her arm, stopping the activation. He asks if she intends to die together with these bugs by detonating them in such a confined space. When she demands an alternative, he simply tells her to get down. Raising his glowing hand, he commands his own summon to come out. A massive mechanical soldier ant materializes from a swirl of golden data towering over them. The woman crouches in the shadow of the beast, stunned by his ability. She wonders how he can summon ants and the giant snake from before, questioning the true nature of his power. Hiding beneath the massive frame of the summoned ant, the woman wonders if the man can copy anything he sees. The thought of such strength leaves her breathless. Nearby, the wild soldier ants crawl past, their mandibles clicking. The man explains that ants recognize their own by scent, and by using his summon to mask their presence, the colony mistakes them for kin. Realizing how close they are, the woman awkwardly asks to be released from his grip. He apologizes and lets go before turning back to the task at hand. He reaches for the orange fluid leaking from the summoned ant, telling her to rub the substance all over her body to ensure the colony ignores them. She recoils in disgust, refusing to touch the slime. He bluntly states that if she wants to die, she can skip the application. Gritting her teeth, the woman applies the foul-smelling mask, acknowledging that she must endure the gross sensation to survive. She hurries to catch up as the man moves deeper into the nest. The tunnel opens into a massive chamber where dozens of mechanical ants scurry about. She remarks on the sheer number of creatures ahead. The man notes that something feels wrong. The population far exceeds the 30 mines mentioned in the system rules. While the woman suggests it might be normal for a nest, the man suspects the game rules might be deceptive. He considers that there may have been 30 originally, but the reality has changed. He instructs her to follow closely, believing the answer lies at the end of the cavern. Deep in the glowing green depths of the nest, the man observes the multiplying mines. He concludes that while the game started with 30, the presence of a specific entity causes more to appear over time. To clear the instance, they must eliminate the hidden boss. Suddenly, a blue system window flares to life. It announces a main quest update, noting that the player has uncovered the core mechanism of the trial. A new mission to destroy the Ant Queen begins, offering double experience and a random item ticket. The individual reward for the MVP is listed as a C-rank Void Blade in the Camouflage skill. Above the nest, old Zhang and his group watch the announcement with greed. They realize the kid found something valuable and debate whether they have the strength to fight the source of the mines. Old Zhang decides to let the man face the boss first, hoping to reap the rewards after he does the heavy lifting. Old Zhang watches the protagonist from a distance, his mind filled with thoughts of the wealth he intends to steal. He activates his walkie-talkie, calling out to the man and identifying himself. He suggests that his brothers could come down to help out with the new mission. The protagonist hears the crackle of the radio and smiles darkly. He turns the device off, deciding not to rush the encounter. He mutters to himself to let the situation develop further before making a move. On the bridge above, old Zhang grows frustrated as his calls go unanswered. He snarls that the kid is trying to hog all the rewards and wonders if he isn't afraid of the consequences. Below, the purple-haired woman asks the protagonist why he won't let the others help, fearing the two of them aren't enough for the task. The man ignores her concern, secretly viewing the other players as cannon fodder. He believes that the more people scouting ahead, the easier it will be for him to profit from the chaos. He tells the woman she is right about needing help, but claims old Zhang is only useful as backup if he stays on the upper level. A skittering sound fills the tunnel as more ants swarm past. The woman panics, wondering how they caught up and if their scent mask is failing. The man reassures her, noting that his summoned beast is calm, meaning they aren't the targets. He explains the ants are likely rushing back to defend their queen. He urges her to move, confident that as long as the scent remains, they are safe. Meanwhile, old Zhang's group continues to argue. One player suggests a 70-30 split in the protagonist's favor to entice him. They speculate that the rewards must be immense if the kid is willing to risk his life alone. Old Zhang's face contorts with rage. He declares that even if the kid makes a fortune, he won't live long enough to spend it. He reveals that his walkie-talkie has a tracking function, making escape impossible. He threatens that if the protagonist won't accept a friendly offer, he will face the punishment wine. Below, the woman asks if they should just keep hiding. She points out they cannot kill all the ants alone. The man silences her with a finger to his lips, demanding quiet. Above, old Zhang draws a glowing blue pistol and orders two of his subordinates to open a specific side of the path. They hesitate, questioning why they can't stay where they are. Old Zhang loses his patience and screams for them to do as he says or face immediate death. The subordinates tremble, relenting under the threat of the glowing weapon. They move toward the designated area, pleading for their lives. Below, the protagonist watches the ants, noting their increasing agitation. He realizes he must confirm his theory about the explosive nature of the soldier ants quickly. The woman notices the ants becoming more aggressive and begs the man to use any backup plan he has. He coldly responds that he has no backup plan and is simply waiting for rescue. She is stunned, asking if he is seriously counting on old Zhang to save them. He points out that if they wait much longer, they will become ant food. Suddenly, the woman loses her footing and falls toward the glowing red insects. A series of massive explosions rocks the cavern. Fire and debris rain down as the soldier ants detonate in a chain reaction. The ceiling of the tunnel buckles under the force of the blasts. A pillar of purple light erupts from the center of the destruction, signaling a catastrophic event. Dust and smoke fill the air as old Zhang's group coughs violently. He looks down at the carnage, satisfied that he blew up the obstacles. However, his smugness vanishes when he realizes the system hasn't given any prompts for a successful kill. He stares into the smoke, wondering what is happening. A massive shadow looms within the haze. His eyes widen in terror as a giant winged creature rises from the depths. He can only gasp in horror as the true boss reveals itself. The Ant Queen ascends, her massive body silhouetted against a backdrop of fire and shadow. She towers over the remaining players, a living engine of destruction ready to purge the intruders from her nest. Below its jagged, glowing maw, a woman collapses into the dirt, her voice trembling as she begs for someone to save her, desperate to cling to life. The man in the dark suit grits his teeth, cursing the nightmare unfolding before him. He cannot believe an explosion of that magnitude left the boss completely unscathed. His eyes widen, realizing the young man nearby has somehow survived the blast as well. Pure shock takes hold as he screams, demanding to know how such a thing is possible before a sharp crack follows the chaos. Whistling projectiles streak across the chamber like lethal needles. Seeing the danger, the man in the yellow tank top shouts a warning for his leader to watch out. A heavy impact follows, forcing a pained grunt from the blue-haired companion as he is struck down. Desperation fills the air as someone calls for a shield to be raised, but the damage is done. Blood stains the floor as the dying man looks up, his voice a fading whisper. He calls out to his boss one last time, admitting through his final breaths that he simply wants to go home. Rage boils over as the leader screams Kaienzi's name, his voice cracking with grief. The survivor calls back to his brother, but the leader is lost to his fury. He orders the boss to get up, warning that the area has become far too dangerous. The sound of rapid gunfire fills the room as he clenches his fists, cursing the bastard responsible. He never imagined that after years of being the hunter, he would be the one caught off guard. Bitterly, he reflects on the irony of being blinded by his own prey in what should have been a simple D-rank instance. The grinding of metal and the splashing of fluids resonate through the chamber as he prepares to strike, seeing the golden light beginning to crackle around his leader. The man in the tank top pleads for him to calm down, warning that the skill he is about to use is too dangerous. The leader does not listen. Consumed by the need for vengeance, he vows to make the enemy pay for the death of his fallen comrade. His body begins to warp and swell, muscles tearing through his suit as golden fur sprouts from his skin. A primal roar erupts from his throat as he transforms into a massive bipedal tiger, his eyes burning with a predatory light. The towering beast that was once a man looks down at his remaining ally, telling him this is no longer a fight he can interfere with. He commands the man to find a safe place to hide while he handles the monster alone. The survivor begs his brother not to die, but the tiger warrior is already focused on the kill. With a final snarl, he promises to skin the mechanical insect alive. A blinding flash of golden energy erupts as he leaps into the air, his claws extended. He strikes the boss with the force of a falling star, the impact sending a shockwave through the dark chamber. In the shadows of the jagged rocks, two observers watch the carnage unfold amidst the sounds of repeated explosions. The woman with purple hair asks if they are truly going to just stand by and watch the slaughter. Her companion suggests waiting until the man named Zhang is beaten half to death before they move in to pick up the scraps. The black-haired man shakes his head, disagreeing with the plan. He knows that if they wait too long, they will not fare any better against a boss this powerful. He insists on finding the perfect moment to strike, telling her to wait just a bit longer. The tiger warrior lands heavily, his chest heaving as he gasps for air. Every breath is a struggle, the physical toll of his transformation beginning to weigh on his spirit. He glares at the mechanical monstrosity, his lungs burning as he tries to recover his strength. The boss does not give him a moment of peace, its metallic joints grinding as it prepares its next assault. A low hiss escapes the machine, followed by a deafening boom that signals the arrival of a new, even more deadly attack. Giant black spheres etched with glowing numbers begin to rain down from the ceiling. One of the spheres narrowly misses the tiger warrior as he scrambles to find his footing. Nearby, the man in the yellow tank top is gripped by terror as the heavy orbs crash into the checkered floor. He screams for help, his voice high and thin as he realizes he's being hunted by the falling weights. The sound of the machine's laughter fills the air as it watches its prey struggle. A guttural roar rips through the air as the man in the yellow tank top charges forward. He bellows for Tianzi to raise the shield immediately to counter the coming threat. Chains rattle in the darkness behind a prowling, muscular tiger beast that stalks the checkered floor. A digital chime rings out as a timer hits 0, signaling the start of a lethal encounter. The beast lunges with predatory speed, its claws ready to rend flesh. Grinding sounds fill the chamber as the massive tiger beast clashes against a shimmering barrier. The man known as Boss grunts in agony, his muscles straining under the pressure. A sharp, pained shriek erupts from the creature as energy flares against its skin. As the struggle intensifies, the man in the yellow tank top cries out for his boss in a panic, fearing the barrier will not hold. Tianzi collapses beside his fallen leader, pleading for the boss to hang on through choked sobs. Red stains the floor beneath the wounded warrior. Boss acknowledges that Tianzi was always the one providing the shield for protection in their past battles. He declares that this time the roles must reverse as he prepares to sacrifice himself. Tianzi can only whisper his name in despair. Above them, a monstrous glowing insect looms, its wings humming with lethal intent. The boss curses their fate, wondering if their journey truly ends in this cold arena. A sudden rush of wind heralds a new arrival. A man in a dark hoodie strikes with blinding speed, intercepting the insect's path. Behind him, a girl with vibrant purple hair channels surging energy through her hands. A massive explosion of force rocks the room as she unleashes her power. The giant wasp recoils, its wings fluttering violently against the onslaught. The purple-haired girl urges him to go. Mid-leap, the man in the black hoodie commands the system to reset his attribute points. A digital hum resonates as he decides to risk everything on a single gamble. He determines that he must at least test the defensive limits of this monstrous boss. Silence follows for a heartbeat as he makes his choice. He pours every available point into his strength. A status display flickers, showing his strength surging to 35 while his agility, intelligence, and stamina drop to 5. With a final, explosive shout, he prepares to strike. A deafening boom resonates as his fist connects with the insect's armored carapace. Blue lightning crackles through the air, tearing through the creature's defenses. The impact sends shockwaves across the floor, leaving a trail of destruction. The purple-haired girl stares at the smoke, questioning if the battle is finally over. A collective gasp of awe rises from the survivors. Tianzi watches from the sidelines, unable to hide his amazement at the display of power. Blood spatters the floor as the man in the hoodie coughs, the recoil of his own attack taking its toll. He grimaces at the creature's resilience, noting that even his full-power strike barely left a mark on its hide. The muscular boss, now standing, calls out to the young warrior. He offers his sincere gratitude for the timely intervention that saved their lives. The tension in the air remains thick as they recover from the clash. The boss admits he did not expect such a righteous act from a stranger in this place. He stands tall despite his injuries, gripping a medical syringe. The man in the black hoodie turns back with a faint, knowing smile. He pauses for a moment before proposing a new path forward. He extends his hand toward the survivors, asking if they are willing to join forces and team up against the horrors of the arena. Gulping down a vial of glowing green liquid, the warrior prepares for the impossible. He demands the group speak, questioning how they will coordinate their efforts against the monstrosity looming above. The flying boss dominates the airspace, its armored shell appearing nearly impenetrable. To claim victory, they must first drag the creature from the sky. One fighter admits the task is easier said than done, noting the beast is no pushover and pressing for a concrete plan. Urgency spikes as another voice commands them to stop hesitating, warning that the boss is preparing its ultimate attack. Glowing pods on the creature's abdomen pulse with a malevolent light. The young man in the hoodie declares he has a plan but requires their immediate assistance. He leaves the choice to them, stating that whether they act or not remains their decision. His resolve sparks a fire in the others. The warrior agrees that the kid is right, acknowledging that they either slay the beast today or face total annihilation. With a collective roar, the group commits to the gamble, charging forward as the boss looms overhead. Speed becomes the only currency of survival. The protagonist commands his system to reset his stat points, pouring every ounce of potential into his agility. He calls out to the large warrior, his big brother, to draw the creature's attention so he can close the distance. The tiger-like man accepts the burden, urging his brother to push forward without fear. A dark grin spreads across the warrior's face as he embraces the risk. Despite a panicked plea for him to stop, he dismisses the worry. If they do not risk everything now, no other chance will remain. Fur and muscle ripple as the big brother fully transforms into a beast of war, his eyes burning with golden light. A system warning clarifies the cost. His strength and abilities soar, but his life force drains toward a single point, leaving him vulnerable to a lethal blow. The protagonist identifies the boss's wings as both its greatest strength and its fatal flaw. He decides to turn the creature's own power against it, interfacing with a blue screen. He detects copyable code from Mind Soldier ants. He initiates the copy command repeatedly, desperate to harvest enough power even as a red alert warns that his storage space has reached its limit. Frustration flickers across his face at the storage limitation, yet he realizes this batch of copied ants should suffice to inflict agony upon the boss. Blue energy swirls around his hands, manifesting the stolen code. He shouts to the girl with the headphones, asking to be launched toward the flying nightmare. She warns that the distance is great but promises to do what she can. Channeling her power, she creates a platform of energy, propelling him upward through the air toward the massive insectoid target. Landing with a metallic click, the protagonist clings to the boss's back. The Mind Soldier Capped begin to swarm over the creature's wings, their mechanical legs skittering across the chitinous surface. He works with lethal precision, planting the explosive drones directly onto the weak points. Once the trap is set, he speaks into his communicator, ordering everyone below to dodge immediately. A countdown begins as the drones arm themselves, their green eyes flashing in anticipation of the coming detonation. A deafening roar of fire consumes the sky as the mines detonate in a chain reaction. The protagonist is thrown back by the force of the blast, barely shielded by his own abilities. Below, the group watches in awe as the boss is engulfed in a sphere of red destruction. A system alert blares a warning of overheating as the energy levels spike beyond control. The Tiger Man braces himself against the shockwave, protecting the others as the mechanical beast screams in the heart of the inferno. Smoke and embers drift through the air as the massive form of the boss crashes toward the checkered floor. The explosion leaves a crater of scorched earth where the creature once reigned. The Tiger Man, the girl, and the warrior stand side by side, their faces streaked with grime and sweat. They stare into the rising pillar of black smoke, their breaths heavy and ragged. Breaking the heavy silence, one of them trembles, asking if they have finally managed to kill the monster. Beside him, the tiger-headed warrior warns the group to stay alert because the system has not issued a kill notification yet. The man in the black hoodie agrees quietly, his face smeared with grime. A low, ominous hiss vibrates through the air, signaling that the nightmare is far from over. The ground erupts as the insectoid boss surges back to life with terrifying speed. The Tiger Man roars for everyone to spread out immediately. A massive explosion of rock and red energy follows as the beast strikes, forcing pained grunts from the team. Impact after impact sends the warriors flying. The man in the hoodie notes that the boss's strength and agility have both spiked, wondering if this is a final frenzy. From the ground, a teammate cries out for their boss as the Tiger Man takes a brutal hit. Dust chokes the air as the purple-haired girl stares at the monstrosity, calling it a freak. She screams a warning as the beast charges its next move. The insectoid hisses, its limbs clicking with lethal intent. Someone shouts for the boss to watch out, but a sickening crack follows. Tianzi is thrown through the air, blood spraying from his mouth as his name is screamed in desperation. He hits the stone wall hard, coughing violently as the beast looms over the broken group. Desperation drives the purple-haired girl to act. She focuses her power, invoking gravity control to halt the beast's advance. For a fleeting second, the monster slows and she smiles, believing it is working. However, the insectoid's raw power overcomes the spell with a piercing hiss. A sudden, sharp cry of pain rings out as the girl is struck down. She falls, her strength spent, as the man in the hoodie rushes forward to catch her before she hits the jagged floor. He looks down at her battered form, then up at the towering silhouette of the beast. His hand trembles as he reaches into his inventory, pulling out a glowing green capsule. This small, shimmering item is his last resort. He grips it tightly, the faint light reflecting in his eyes, knowing that if this fails, there will be nothing left to stop the slaughter. A massive explosion of green energy tears through the cavern floor. The man in the hoodie thinks to himself that the beast is far too tough and that old Zhang alone definitely isn't enough to stop it. Giant, magical trees erupt from the stone, their trunks slamming into the insectoid with thunderous booms. The creature hisses in rage, its movements restricted by the sudden forest. Despite the distraction, the man knows this is only a temporary reprieve against such a relentless predator. Tucked away in the shadows of the new forest, the survivors catch their breath. The man in the yellow tank top remarks that the guy is screaming like a slaughtered pig. He offers to split his last 2 potions, but the tiger man old Zhang dismisses the idea as useless. He explains that the beast's 3rd phase isn't something they can handle at their current level. Noting that despite any stat boosts, Chen Mo is still only level 8, Chen Mo acknowledges the harsh truth of old Zhang's words. The man in the yellow tank top asks if they are meant to just sit here and wait to die. Old Zhang turns to Chen Mo, proposing a grim deal. He offers to help Chen Mo level up if he promises to save his brothers outside. Chen Mo is skeptical, questioning if an item for such a thing even exists and why he should be trusted. Old Zhang threatens him with his many brothers outside if he dares to scam them, then prepares to explain the method of his ascension. Old Zhang's face is a mask of bloody determination. He looks Chen Mo directly in the eye, his voice steady despite his wounds. He states that the process is simple. He commands Chen Mo to kill him, explaining that taking his life will provide enough experience to raise Chen Mo's level by at least 3 to 5 stages. It is a cold, calculated sacrifice, the only path left to defeat the monster and ensure the survival of the others.